Hey everybody, we're here, new episode, the show that has yet to be named. I always have to think about the name of the show. I'm here with Caps, the captain of the show, and I'm here with JohnnyDonuts777. You can find him everywhere at that. His stuff will be in the thing below. Description. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, the links, whatever. It's all good.
Today we're talking... What?
How long you been at this?
I don't know, a couple days. Today we're doing...
my first day.
It's my first day! Top 5 90s sitcoms. So if you haven't seen 80s sitcoms, I'm going to tell you there's a link in the description, but there's probably not. Click it anyways.
I'll teach him how to put the little thing
It'll
up in
be
the corner.
like, yeah, or it'll be around. Whatever. Just go click on the channel. But anyways, top 5 90s sitcoms. We have Caps' special guest for episode 2. Even though he's the captain of the show, I don't know how that works, but...
Hey, captain needs a day off every now and then.
Right? When behind the scenes, we rub his muscles with marinara sauce to sink it in real deep. He's like, no. Okay, so we're going to start this, and I'm just going to say Caps is going first.
There it is.
Sitcoms. All right.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me just, sorry. We're going to preface this. At least the first 3 seasons or the last 4 seasons of the show have to be in the decade. And it can't be animated. It's only live action. Sitcom 555-4333. Okay, go.
Number 5, Home Improvement.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh crap! I have a tie. I have a Caps situation. That's what they're called now. Drew Carey and News Radio.
Good one.
So what's the cap situation, by the way?
It's when you have a
tie.
2 things at a time.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. All right. Numero 4, Family Matters.
Boy Meets World.
Numeral 4 for me, Home Improvement.
Number 3, Fresh Prince.
Saved by the Bell.
Third Rock from the Sun.
Number 2.
Okay, that was number 3. Sorry.
Yeah.
Number
It
2.
works.
Yeah.
Married with Children.
We're allowing it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was split. It was a split decade, right? So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
he hit the criteria.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is Frasier.
Number 2. Wait, am I on 2? Yeah.
Yes.
Number 2 is Frasier.
Number 1 is Seinfeld, and it will always be Seinfeld.
Number 1 is The Fresh Prince.
Number 1 is Seinfeld, and it will always be Seinfeld. It's the greatest show ever made on the history of television. Okay, so we'll run through our list quick here, and if you just came for the list, that's the list, and then we'll get them to the open floor. So I'll go through it quick. At number 5, I got Drew Carey, News Radio. At number 4, I got Home Improvement. Number 3, I got Third Rock. Number 2, I got Frasier. Number 1, I got Seinfeld.
5, I got Sabrina the Teenage Witch. 4, Boy Meets World. 3, Saved by the Bell. 2, Frasier. And 1 is The Fresh Prince.
All right, 5-1. We got Home Improvement, Family Matters, Fresh Prince, Married with Children, and Seinfeld.
All right, floor is now open, and first thing I want to say is I never knew this, but the entirety of the run of Family Matters is in the 90s.
Yeah.
I just found that out the other day. I was like, when me and Caps were talking about 90s sitcoms, actually, and I was like, what the hell? I thought it started in the 80s, but it didn't.
Was it 91?
I think it was 90. It was either 90 or 91 till 97.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I think we were debating whether or not a lot of the seasons were in the 80s, and we're like,
and then none of them were in the 80s.
So. Yeah, none were in the interesting.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
And then I mentioned that somebody from the show died during one of its seasons, and it was like in the mid 90s.
Was it the one who played Urkel's girlfriend?
Yeah.
The one she's married to. What's his name? He played Theo on the Cosby Show.
Really?
They were married.
Malcolm Jamal Warner?
Malcolm Jamal Warner. Yeah, that was his wife.
Believe it or not. Pretty girl.
Yeah, she had cancer, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's her. That. Yeah, that was Malcolm Jamal Warner's wife, believe it or not.
Crazy.
Wait.
Really?
Was Malcolm Jamal Warner on Family Matters?
I don't think so, unless he played Eddie's.
Oh, no. Sorry. Never mind. Eddie was completely different. I just thought of it right now in my head, and I was like, okay, I'm just confusing that. I'm an idiot.
No, Malcolm Jamal Warner was Theo on the Cosby Show.
Yeah. Okay, we got cleared up. Issue cleared up.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Conspicuous by his absence is Friends on all of our lists.
Yes. We'll go there. I think let's talk about, instead of just opening the floor to honorable mentions, I would like to say you have 2 of my honorable mentions in your list.
Me or
actually, you have
Caps?
3. You sorry, I'm pointing like as if you know. You, Johnny Donuts. You had 3. Sabrina, Boy Meets World, and Saved by the Bell are all in my top 5 honorable mentions. And then Caps had Family Matters, and what was your other one that you had?
Home Improvement.
I had Fresh Prince.
Oh, Fresh Prince. That was my top 5. Like your guys, the 5 that are my next 5 are all both of yours on both of your lists.
Yeah,
that's crazy. So I guess, do you want to open the floor? We'll open the floor. So Friends is on nobody's list. Friends is on my honorable mentions.
Never watched it.
I think so. This is my thing. I'm a Seinfeld guy, which automatically makes me not a Friends guy by proxy. That's just how it works.
Okay.
But,
so what happens for me? Who I never watched. Yeah. I never watched either.
So
I never watched an episode of Seinfeld in my life.
You need mental help, probably. So,
I wouldn't go that far, but you should check it out.
Friends is so my personal experience with Friends is I have a connection with the characters. I find some of the episodes really funny, but it was never a show that I wanted to watch. I was never like, I can't wait to watch Friends. So therefore, that's why it's not on my favorites list. But it's not that bad. Like a lot of people rag on it. It gets worse towards the end. I think if you really like sitcoms, especially 90s style sitcoms, it's worth watching. But like,
yeah, there's a lot of heat, especially more recently too, coming across it because they say it's a ripoff of Living Single.
I mean, it technically is a ripoff of Living Signal.
Living Signal.
Living Signal. No, it is actually. It's also a ripoff of, I believe there's a British. No, not a British.
Everything's
there's a foreign
British
show.
though.
There's a foreign show somewhere in Europe that is
very similar.
That was like very similar, and it came out prior to that.
It's either British or German. One of the two.
If you look at Three's Company and just add 3 more people, it's basically Friends.
True.
So I mean,
very true. Very true. Your number 5 was part of my honorable mentions on News Radio.
Yeah.
Pre-UFC Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Not only does it have one of the most stacked casts ever for a sitcom, where if you look at like Seinfeld or Friends, none of those people were famous really at the time of making that. That's what made them famous. Home Improvement, like those, you had Tim Allen, and then everyone else was becoming famous. This show already had Dave Foley, was already popular. You had Stephen Root was already popular. You had
the amazing girl, Phil Hartman.
Yeah, Phil Hartman. What's the girl's name from? Oh my gosh, I always forget her name. You know, she has some kind of Italian name.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
And then you had Joe Rogan. You had Andy Dick. Right, you had the girl who's literally the knockoff of Kathy Griffin.
Mm-hmm. When you couldn't get Kathy Griffin, you got her.
Yeah, exactly. And she was on a lot of stuff at that point. And the show was so packed with talent, and I can't understand why it never like caught on.
See, I feel that way about a show. I don't know if you guys remember Wings.
Yes, Wings. Wings is on my honorable mentions.
That was a show I really liked. If it was on, if I caught it, then I'd watch it. But it's not like you said, it wasn't appointment viewing. I didn't go out of my way to watch it. Yeah. But you had Thomas Hayden Church who started on that show. So
they had a few with his brother or whoever, the other guy that looks exactly like him on the show.
Yeah.
Is somebody.
I think he does the voice of Superman in the animated series.
Yeah, he's I don't remember what he was on, but yeah, there's like there's a few shows like that are in the 90s. A lot of it slipped under because sitcoms were so massive, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of sitcoms in the 90s. Everybody Loves Raymond.
I hate Everybody Loves Raymond.
Really? I didn't mind that one.
I live in the world of that doesn't even exist to me.
Really?
Okay, that show was a lot of most of the seasons were in the 2000s, no?
Yes, but it did start in the 90s.
Yeah. In the 90s, yeah.
But going back to what you were saying, Campos, and you were wondering why was it news radio?
Yeah.
Wasn't such a big hit because there's just so many sitcoms.
Yeah.
There was just too much to watch.
Yeah. Roseanne was on there. You got do you remember what was that was it Grace Under Fire?
Grace Under Fire.
Yeah, there was so many shows on there. And news radio, I think, had a limited storyline. You could only go so far with that show. I mean, I remember watching a few episodes.
They ran the series out and they ended it. Like, I don't remember if it ends with like finality, but it ended in a way that Phil Hartman died and the kind of like the show took a
nosedive after that. Yeah.
And I mean, it's a really good show, especially for only being a short amount of seasons. Like, I've been trying to get it, but it's a little bit expensive. I don't want to pay for it yet, but
well, what's his name? After Phil Hartman died, didn't they replace him with John Lovitz?
Yeah. Which it's still another big name at that time. In the 90s, he was a name. He wasn't like a nobody. And
but didn't it kind of ruin the chemistry after a little bit?
Once Phil Hartman was gone, the show just started falling apart.
No.
Yeah. And that's what kind of did it for them.
But I mean, it's a really good show. So is Wings. Yeah, if no one's ever seen Wings.
Wings was a good show. I really liked Wings. Like I said, Thomas Hayden Church is the mechanic. Those two guys that played the brothers, I forgot their names, but I think one was Stephen Miller, I think is his name. I can't remember. Early 90s sitcom, if anybody remembers, Inside Herman's Head.
I do know what it is. I've never seen it.
No.
That one was a really neat concept. It was a guy and basically ever watched, I think is it a Pixar film, Inside Out?
Yeah.
With the feelings, they're all portrayed by different color characters.
Yeah.
Was that Inside Out?
Yeah, Inside Out.
Okay. Basically, take that concept in real life where you had four people living in this guy's head. One was his lust, one was his like sympathy, one was his conscious kind of thing, and they would control him and basically what to do. And I think one of the characters is actually the girl who plays Lisa Simpson.
Oh yeah, Yardley Smith.
Yardley Smith, yeah, she was actually one of the characters inside his head. Yeah. It was a really neat concept. It was. I think that show was a little ahead of its time.
Yeah, definitely at that time. Like I said, I've heard of that. I've never watched it. I'm kind of intrigued now.
Yeah, Herman's Head. Yeah, what else?
I'm gonna throw in a random one. It's not even on my list. I don't even know if you've ever heard of it. It's called Manic Mansion, and it's with like Joe Flaherty.
Maniac Mansion.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
And he gets turned into a fly, and he's like the uncle, and like the family's like a weird. I don't know. You know, it's one of those shows that I've watched so much.
I played the PC game.
There was a PC game.
There was a PC game, Day of the Tentacle and really? Maniac Mansion. Yeah,
it's so
Day
hard
of the Tentacle was a sequel of Maniac Mansion, I think.
It
way
took
back.
me so long to figure out what the show was called. I spent like literally weeks Googling Joe Flaherty as a fly to try and figure out what it was. There's also, if anyone knows this, there's another like directed at younger audiences, a show with a family where the dad dies and he becomes a dog. And for the life of me, I cannot find out what it is. And the main character,
we lost Caps there. He's like,
or the dog's voice sounds like Michael J. Fox. And I don't know what it's called, but yeah. Anyways, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Sorry, go.
Yeah.
What was a show that was kind of like a ripoff of Married with Children? And
I remember Nikki Cox. There was the Nikki
That's the
Cox.
one. That's the one.
Happily Ever After, I believe.
Happily Ever After. Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot about that one.
It's made by the same people. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't remember the name of the show.
But that was more 2000s though, wasn't it? It's Joe Flaherty like invading your. It's Joe Flaherty.
He came for me.
No, that was in the 90s, wasn't it?
Was it?
No, I think it's like. You want me to look it up? Like, is this how we're leaving it now?
Oh, you can look it up. I got Saved by the Bell. Honorable mentions. I got Saved by the Bell.
Honorable mentions. Yes, Saved by the Bell was great. That was appointment Saturday viewing for me.
It was 1995 till 1999.
Okay, so it was the 90s.
Tiffany Amber Thiessen was like. Awesome.
Listen, you don't have to say it. It's Kelly.
I was more of a Jesse Spano guy.
Listen, you could have a little Jesse Spano and a little, you could have some Kelly Kapowski.
Well, what about
you have some
like
Lisa Turtle if you want?
Lisa
it's
Turtle.
just up to you.
Except now, have you seen her recently?
No, I don't know. I mean, the only one of them that still looks like a human being is
Mark Paul
JC Slater.
Oh, well, no, Mark Paul too.
He looks exactly the same.
Yes,
what's his name? Mario Lopez. He looks exactly the same.
Yeah. Okay, if we're gonna go Saved by the Bell, remember all the other Saved by the Bell ripoff shows like Hang Time and
okay, whoa,
California Dreams.
Don't you ever talk about the greatest show ever made, City Guys.
City Guys was good. I like City Guys.
See, you can see these. Yeah, that was about that.
City Guys. I didn't. That's why I never said that was a ripoff show. Okay. I said Hang Time and California Dreams.
But they were all in that. Those shows were all in that block.
Yeah.
City Guys, California Dreams. What was the basketball
one?
Hang Time. Hang Time lasted for a while, actually. California Dreams only got like 2 seasons, I think.
Yeah.
It's funny, we were just I was just talking to my buddy about that on the subway, like for our whole subway ride. Like, throw this fly. City Guys, though. City Guys is so underrated.
Yeah, City Guys was a really good show. What about The Nanny? Anybody watch The Nanny?
Nanny's on my list.
Okay.
Listen, if you're not attracted to 1990s Fran Drescher, then I don't know how to
There's something wrong with you.
Like, she was the hottest person on TV, and I just, stupid little boy talk. But I was like, oh my God, I can't not watch
this. Mr. Sheffield.
That was a stupid laugh.
You know what? Surprisingly, though, in the mid seasons of the show are pretty good. Like the first season is
not
rough.
A bad show.
The first season is rough and the last season is rough, but the in between is pretty solid.
The guy who plays the butler, his comedic timing is the best. Like when he burns out the guy's ex-wife every time.
Yeah. Oh my God. Or when he's there's an episode where he's sick and it's so funny. Like he gets like they lock him in a closet. I don't know. But yeah, the 90s actually really good. It's another show on my list of shows I'm trying to buy. Yeah. I mean, I have all of this. The Saved by the Bell. Saved by the Bell is a great show.
The Nanny porn parody was really good.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch that, but I'll take your word for it.
It was called The Fanny.
I mean, that makes absolute sense. You sold me. But what was the other one? Boy Meets World was really good. Yep. It falls apart towards the end when they start becoming adults and
they move to
and like whoever. But it has
when they shift the focus to Will Friedle?
Will Friedle. And then they got their own spin-off where it was the three brothers.
Okay.
Wasn't it? It's Friedle.
Strong. What's his name? Ryder Strong.
And then it's those two, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, and Matthew Lawrence without Matthew Savage. Lawrence.
Yeah. And that's like after that. But it falls apart towards the end there. Friedle is dope because he became Nightwing and whatnot, or not Nightwing,
Batman Beyond. Terry McGinnis.
Beyond. Yeah, I keep saying that. I did that last time too.
Yeah, but Terry McGinnis.
So speaking of shows like that and people that I thought were Will Friedle who weren't, Step by Step is one of my favorite shows.
That's a highly underrated show.
I agree. I vividly remember the entire. I think it's 2 or 3 part episode where they go to Disney World. Like I remember it like
didn't every sitcom in the 90s go to Disney World?
All of those TGIF shows did, I'm pretty sure.
Well, yeah, ABC, right?
I don't know if Step by Step was from that. Whatever block of shows Step by Step was from,
TGIF,
they all met. Like they had an episode where they all meet in Disney World.
Yeah, that was ABC. I think that's when ABC Disney just acquired ABC or something like that.
Yeah, and that could have been why.
Yeah.
Because they had the TGIF block that had all those shows, My Guardian Angel or whatever that was called. Sabrina. Sabrina is like one of my favorites. I own Sabrina the complete series.
Sabrina is great. I love Sabrina. We used to play. Sabrina was always on before we used to go out, like on a Friday night. So we'd always play a drinking game. So every time Sabrina said "gotta go," we'd take a shot.
Which is like 14 times an episode.
Yeah. So we were like gone, but hence one of the reasons why I don't drink anymore. But but yeah, so it would be like every time she'd say, "Gotta go," you guys take a shot, and it's like you'd be hammered by the time you leave.
Doesn't she say "gotta go" right in the intro?
Yep. Yeah, right at the end. She goes, "Gotta go."
You set yourself up for a failure there. I'm trying to delete all the shows we just talked about so I don't talk about it again. Okay, so underrated one. And I don't care if nobody likes it because she sucks now, but Ellen was a pretty good show. And it had Jeremy Piven, it had a few people in it. Like it was a pretty quality cast.
I remember seeing a couple episodes. It was okay.
there's so many sitcoms that everything just kind of is like, yeah, it's okay.
It blends in. Like there was Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Where do you pull these things
I don't know what the hell that was.
Listen, I watched Parker a lot of TV.
It was very much like I don't know. I guess it had the whole what's that movie? Oh, I can't think of the name now. Matthew Broderick. John, your favorite movie?
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
That's it. Ferris Bueller. It had that kind of a vibe to it because there was also a Ferris Bueller sitcom.
Yeah, it
spin-off.
was one season, I believe.
Yeah, but it had that kind of a vibe to it.
I mean, you had so many shows in that time that were so similar. So you had Suddenly Susan, you had Caroline in the City, and they were like, and then there was another show that was like exactly like Suddenly Susan as well. And they were like 3 shows almost exactly the same.
Just Shoot Me.
I like Just Shoot Me, and I didn't want to mention it because I was hoping to add that to a list in the future. But
okay,
Just Shoot Me, it's like a late 90s, but that's a really underrated show. It reminds me of News Radio because there's so many famous people in it, and it just like flew under the radar for like 8 seasons.
Just because the market was just so saturated with sitcoms at the time. What was Spin City?
Spin City. I didn't even add that.
With Michael J. Fox. That was a really underrated show.
It was so good until Charlie Sheen took over.
Yeah. Spin City was really good with Michael J. Fox.
And that was a pretty stacked cast too. Like the 90s were like, oh, we're making a sitcom. Yeah, get a bunch of A-list actors to do it.
I think the 90s also had that stigma of there were a lot of one and done season sitcoms too.
Yeah, it's like Sports Night was a really good one that didn't last long. It's extremely highly rated. I think there's only 2 seasons. I only remember 1 season. There was the Norm Show. That was really good.
There was a really bad one called Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures that lasted like 5 episodes.
We will completely ignore the existence of that because the animated show was really good.
Yeah. Which one though? There were 2 different ones.
The one before when it had Keanu and Alex Winters.
Okay.
And then
the Hanna-Barbera one.
It switched to be the actors from the sitcom after.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing behind it. They fired Keanu and Thing to use the same actors from the show because it was cheaper.
Yeah.
But what else do I have here? Fresh Prince. I mean, that's on my honorable mentions, obviously.
Yeah, but I mean,
you had it number 1.
Yeah.
And Nick
I just watched that the most out of all those 90s sitcoms.
I've seen it the most too, and I love it. But it wasn't like my go-to. It was just part of the block of me waiting for Home Improvement to come on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And Home Improvement was like passed on to me from my parents. My parents used to always watch Home Improvement. So that was like, I was forced to watch it, and it just became like, I loved it. Like one that's really popular, like I told you before, and I've seen every episode probably at least twice, but I don't like it, is Roseanne.
See, I liked Roseanne. I don't the first
hate
few
it.
seasons of Roseanne. I didn't mind. Yeah.
It got weird when they changed Becky. No, not Becky. Yeah, Becky. Yeah,
Becky, the older,
is the other one.
Yeah.
And then, but then they changed Becky. And then they changed Becky back.
Yeah.
They changed her to Sarah Chalk, and then they changed her back. And in the new show, they're both in it.
Yeah, they both play a character named Becky.
Yeah. Which is kind of cool. I mean, but
it's a throwback, right?
I mean, but Roseanne's a piece of shit. So
as a human being, yes, she always has been. But I mean, you gotta love John Goodman.
Oh, the cast of that show is so good. What's her name? The aunt.
Oh, Laurie Metcalf.
Laurie Metcalf is great.
Yeah, she's really good in that show.
I
just remember the episode where they find. I remember the episode where they all find They find a stash of weed from like Woodstock.
Well, the not DJ. What was the boyfriend's name? Becky's boyfriend.
Nick. No, Becky.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot his name.
He was like a junkie.
Mark.
He becomes Mark. He becomes like a junkie.
Mark.
And there was
he died in real life.
Did he?
He died in real life.
There was always like a drug theme in the background of that show.
Yeah, he died in real life. He was on the first season of Angel.
Oh, that's a deep pull. I mean, and everyone, whoever, like Darlene just looked like she was on drugs all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good one. So wait, let's talk about something else. What do you? Sure. Well, Third Rock from the Sun. Nobody has Third Rock, and you guys don't even have that on your honorable mentions.
That's on my honorables. Yes, Third Rock is on my honorable mentions. I felt the only thing about Third Rock for me, I felt that dragged on a little bit too much.
I agree with you. It did. Once again, a show that I love because it had immediate stars right away. Like
you had John Lithgow, Jane Curtin, a really French Stewart and a really young Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, and you had Wayne Knight as and then you had the person who owns their house is that famous actress. I can't think of her name, the landlord.
Yeah.
The famous comedian. And then you had there's just so many people. That show's packed full of people. And I agree with you, it did run a little bit too long, but it was a pretty good show. Yeah. There's a spin-off. Not a spin-off, sorry. There's like a show that came out like in the late or the early 2010s, and I don't remember what it's called, but it's about the Kristen Johnson. I believe that's her name, Johnston.
Yeah.
She is like a landlord, and in her house, Wayne Knight lives. She rents out a house to 3 single guys. It's Wayne Knight, Donald Faison. Shout out to Clueless, the sitcom.
Yes.
And then one other famous comedian guy, and they all live in a house together. And it's all like secondary characters from other sitcoms. That's like what the whole show is, and it's pretty good.
Funny. But yeah, the Clueless TV series, I didn't mind. I had what's her name? I forgot the actress's name. She's Canadian too. Was she? No.
She became popular after that.
Yeah,
I don't remember her name. I'm not.
She was also she was in that stupid movie with Tom Green. Was it Euro Trip? No, Road Trip.
Wasn't she in Freddy Got? Oh yeah, Road Trip.
Road Trip.
Here, I'm just gonna look it up. Forget it. Just forget it. Clueless. Rachel Blanchard, is that it?
Rachel Blanchard, yeah. Was it Are You Afraid of the Dark she was in?
Yes, I believe. No. Yes,
she was in Are You Afraid of the Dark with the guy who now does the weather on Global.
Yeah. Global guy, shout out. Caps, you got anything?
No, it's crazy how the amount of sitcoms that came out in the 90s, but it's also crazy that a lot of these sitcoms didn't hook me. Third Rock from the Sun. I do remember watching a couple episodes. I'm kind of like you guys. It did drag on a little bit, but I also thought that some of the storylines were kind of weak. It's just it's crazy. It's pretty much all I have in terms of what's out there. There was just so many. There was always something for someone.
I think that's why our lists vary, with the exception of like a couple shows like The Fresh Prince is on all our lists, right? So it's like there's the exception. Like you guys both had Seinfeld. Everybody put Seinfeld. I never watched it. Shame on me.
Honestly, though, like I think it holds up really well.
See, I just didn't get the humor. I don't know what it is.
If you watched any of it and you didn't get the humor, I already understand. But like,
I never got the humor at first either. So it didn't.
Maybe it's something.
Really
maybe I need to revisit
later
it.
On. Yeah,
it didn't really hook me until later on. I caught one scene and it sticks in my head because I used to visit New York a lot pre-pandemic, and there's one scene that always sticks out in my head is the one scene I've always seen that I always end up seeing again. It was where Kramer gets lost and he's at the corner of First and First.
Oh yeah.
And he yells out, "I'm at the nexus of the universe."
Yeah.
That scene always got a chuckle out of me.
You got to take a picture in front of it and be like, "I'm at the nexus of the universe."
Yeah. But everybody always goes to the diner. No, I have a picture of First and First.
Yeah, that's a deep pull too. Seinfeld fans will get your reference there.
Yeah, but it's something maybe I need to revisit, right?
I think really realistically, like it's just funny. Like I've only met like a very select few people who have seen Seinfeld and don't like it. And most of them are Big Bang Theory fans, which
I hate.
Most of them are Friends fans.
Yeah. Right? Oh shit. Yeah. So they're also fans of Big Bang Theory as well. So that's crazy. Shout out to
that show. I cannot stand that show. What I said about that show, the
called you out. That's funny because they are also fans of that as well. Yeah, you know what? That's what I'm saying. Friends and Seinfeld is kind of like a battling fan base, where it's like
two sides of the same coin, maybe.
No, because Friends is so different. Seinfeld is like for people who have like a really
more of a dry sense,
humor, like towards British style comedy, that like darker stuff. That it's like serious comedy, where Friends is like the situations that happen between like dating in New York with a bunch of 20-somethings.
I think it's Jerry's voice that always throws me off. Like,
I mean, but George is such a strong character that, and like
they all are.
Yeah,
and
they all are.
And it's Jerry Stiller too, right?
Yeah, Jerry Stiller's great in it.
Stiller. Yeah.
who played the same character in King of Queens. Was that a 90s sitcom or was that 2000s?
It's a little of both.
Okay.
2000s, I think.
But
more 2000s.
That kind of rivaled Everybody Loves Raymond, I think.
Well, actually, they take place in the same universe. Raymond has been on that show. They've both been on each other's shows.
Yeah.
And there's a third show that used to interact with them as well, but I don't remember what it was called. Because his friend, Raymond's cousin in the show Everyone Loves Raymond, is on
King of Queens.
King of Queens.
Yeah.
He's a character.
Hey, Alf. What decade?
80s.
Was that 80s?
Alf was more 80s.
That was
it?
on my list
Alf was
for
more
80s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Willie Tanner. Ha!
Yeah.
Willie. Willie. No, Alf, don't eat the cat.
Okay, I don't know if
because apparently Batman don't eat cat neither.
Batman don't eat cat neither. Listen, let's talk about Frasier for a second so that Nick can talk here. Listen to us talk about it. Seinfeld, Frasier is, like I said to you, the reason I have this on my list is because there was a block of time at 10 o'clock every night on Fox that played Seinfeld and then Frasier, or Frasier then Seinfeld. And every single night, that's how I consumed it, right? Like my grandparents, I was raised basically with my grandparents, and they never let us outside when it was dark. So when we were like before the age of like 13, all we did was watch TV from like 6 o'clock until like 10 o'clock nonstop. So
whereas
sitcom.
With Frasier for me was like I religiously watched Cheers. Back to the 80s episode, Cheers was one of my favorite 80s sitcoms. So when you take one of the better characters from Cheers and you move him to Seattle and put him in his own show, you had me sold already. You know what I mean? So for me, Frasier was like, that was appointment viewing for me. And the fact David Hyde Pierce, who plays his brother, he's fantastic in that show. They kind of like, they play off, they're very much a yin and yang type of character.
Yeah. And
I just found it to be kind of boring. I'm sorry. I'll give you this much. The character that plays the father,
Martin,
has great comedic timing.
Yes.
And I thought his his lines were really, really good. But I just thought that I didn't hear a strong audience reaction to the jokes like throughout the series.
I think
I don't know in comparison to some of the other shows.
Frasier 2 was also a show that kind of gained more following after the fact.
Yeah,
Frasier also pulled the Cheers fans, right? So for me, as a young kid, I watched Cheers with my parents, like another one of those shows that they watched, and it just became like I knew it was the same character as a young kid, but I didn't understand that it was the same guy from that show until there's the episode where Sam comes on, and I was like,
he goes to Seattle.
I'm like, this is the same show. Like that's when I started discovering that there was like universes for shows.
Were they the same writers?
Yeah, I believe so. But
the writers were the same.
Yes, I believe Kelsey Grammer did a lot of the writing too.
I know he produced it.
It's a really good show. I understand more that people don't like Frasier than I do with Seinfeld. Like I can see why people don't like Frasier.
Frasier, I think, was more of a, people would say he was a little bit snooty, aristocratic, a little overly, because his character was a little different than he was on Cheers. They kind of revamped his character a little bit.
Yeah, he became a little bit more of a prude.
Posh.
Yeah.
A little bit more posh.
Yeah. And
but yeah, Jane Leaves.
Yeah. Also one of my crushes of the 90s that I had with Fran Drescher. But so I got two more. I just wanted to call these out before we get, run out of time here. The Wayans brothers and Martin.
Martin, yes, that was on my honorable mentions as well.
Martin is such a good show. Like Wayans brothers is not as good, but it's fun. But like Martin is so good. Yeah, and I don't understand how it completely got brushed away. Like that's one that should have had an audience and it didn't.
Especially in the 90s where like Black and Afro-American culture was starting to really become more prevalent and stuff like that after the Cosby Show and A Different World kind of started, and even Family Matters started paving the way for these African-American style sitcoms. I don't know. Yeah, Martin for some reason didn't connect with some of the
bloomed, and it didn't. Yeah, and it was big. And at that time, like UPN had a lot of really good sitcoms, and like I'm struggling to remember them. I should have looked this up because this would have been perfect, obviously for this.
I think Living Single was one of them as well.
Yeah, it was. And
then Jamie Foxx, the Jamie Foxx show.
Jamie Foxx show. There you go. That's the other
Jamie
one.
Foxx show is another one. They all
Jamie Foxx show's life after it got canceled is like mega. Like he became a megastar from the reruns, not even from the actual show.
Yeah, he blew up because of the movies. He was
no, but he got this so much recognition from the show after
that they started casting him in movies.
No one watched the show when it was on. Nobody.
I thought it was because like he was in a bunch of movies after that, and he got the recognition, and then people revisited the show afterwards.
If you see his early movies, he plays always like the secondary like comedy relief character that's not that funny, and you're like, who is this guy? And then his acting style completely changed, and then he became like a legitimate serious actor, which is like people forget.
John
he
C.
can do
Reilly
comedy.
went the other way.
Yeah,
John C. Reilly.
Jamie Foxx in Horrible Bosses is hilarious. Like people forget he's a comedian. Like just putting that out there.
Jamie Foxx is a fantastic actor, and like he has a wide spectrum, I think, of ability. He can do anything. That guy. Shout
out to Drew Carey's show. I'm running out of time here, but like I know not a lot of people like that show, but the cast is just so stupid. It's like whose line is it anyways? But as a TV show. And there would be like episodes like every season where they had to do things. So it would be like a thing would pop up. You have to say every word starting with a P. So there was like random episodes like that, or there would be like look and find episodes where there was like a fish hanging out of a cupboard, and you see if you could find it.
But even though it wasn't a sitcom, Whose Line was fantastic.
Yeah,
Whose Line is anyways a fantastic show.
It's back, by the way. It's been on for like 7 seasons. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Drew Carey show, like that ran into the 2000s, no?
Early.
I think it went down. I think it drained a little bit. I think
it went from like 96 to like 2002 or something like that.
And then now he hosts The Price is Right.
Yeah.
Craig Ferguson had some pretty good dialogue on that show.
Yeah, that was another show that just it was full of secondary comedy characters.
That's right. And Craig Ferguson, he's fantastic in that show.
And he also has the best talk show. Anyways, we're out of time. Thank you for watching. Let us know your favorite 90s sitcom in the bottom. His stuff will be in the description. His stuff will be in the marinara sauce. Peace out.